Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Susan and I am so happy that you are here. I'm a first-time mom and I was also diagnosed with a brain tumor and I have epilepsy associated with said brain tumor. I share my life, my journey with motherhood, with the brain tumor and a diagnosis like this, as well as just other raw moments of my life. So let's talk about grief. I am not where I usually record. I am standing in my kitchen right now. It felt disingenuous to go upstairs into what I've set up as a studio where it's like clean and organized and aesthetic. I have made kind of like a vow to you guys to show my life transparently, and I'm standing in my kitchen right now and this is what life looks like. So I want to just talk about grief. There's so many different forms of grief, and uh, so the original idea for this video was to talk about my fertility associated with the brain tumor and what that looks like. But I was going to draw the connection to my grandfather because he loves babies. But he's not doing well right now. And I'm kind of in that like pre-grief phase. I don't know when this will be posted. But he's not doing well. So I am kind of like mentally understanding the situation for what it is. And this is like, I feel like this type of grief, when you are losing or lost a loved one, it is like everyone can connect to that in some way, shape, or form, whether it's a pet, a family member, a friend. Like, death is part of life. It's a cycle, and that's part of it. So I think we can all connect on that. But also with whatever diagnosis you're handed, there is grief associated with that too. And when I was given my brain tumor diagnosis, I really thought that that was a death sentence for me, and it wasn't. Not yet, anyways. I mean, we're all gonna pass away at some point. But I had to grieve the life that I had, and it wasn't an overnight change. I had a grand mal seizure at 4 p.m. I woke up in a hospital an hour later, and my whole life had changed. And then they did a CT scan. They saw the tumor. I was diagnosed with epilepsy. And I remember asking them, like, well, how does this change my life? And he was like, well, you can't drive and you shouldn't drink and all of these life changes. And then with the brain tumor diagnosis on top of it, it was like, you're probably not going to be able to work for a while, which stands true. I was diagnosed in October. It's now February. I'm still not back to work. So I had to grieve my like the normalcy of everyday life. I had just gotten accustomed and adjusted to being a new mom, and then being a working mom. Like most people in the United States, you get 6 weeks. Primarily, I think a lot of people get unpaid. I was fortunate to get a percentage of what my pay was when I was out for my 6 weeks to heal. And then I had to go back to work. I didn't have a choice. I couldn't take unpaid time. And my daughter had to go to daycare, which I was not ready for. And then the stress of that change of becoming a working mom, being postpartum, that was very stressful. We now know that my seizures are stress induced, and sleep is a big factor there too. So as a new mom, I don't sleep consistently like I used to. So I had to, my whole life changed when I became a mom, and then 3 months later I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and again everything just kind of switched up on me and changed in a way I didn't expect, and I had to adjust to that. I didn't have a choice. So I spent a lot of time. Initially I was terrified to feel anything. I felt like if I felt anything I was just going to implode, like the tumor was just going to explode, which I know is not rational, but that is how I felt. So I spent at least a week in that like space of like not feeling anything. I had shut my emotions completely off. And then when I like kind of came to, which it wasn't just like an epiphany moment. Chris literally sat me down and said, I feel like I'm losing my wife. Like, where are you? You're pretty much sitting there staring at a wall. You're not talking. You're not writing. Like, you're not here. You're absent. Like, I need you. And that was my wake up call. And that's when I came back, like, kind of to reality, honestly. And then I started the grieving process of just like my new normal, and letting go of what used to be normal for me was definitely that first phase where I was like paralyzed in it, was definitely like denial. And then I went through a lot of sadness, obviously. No, I used to be a very structured person. I had a very solid set routine, from my morning routine to how I operated at work to my afternoon to my evening. Like, everything was structured in a very similar way. I went into default mode and I just repeated the motions, rinse, wash, repeat. And now I was suddenly faced with all this, I don't want to say free time, but a wide open schedule. I'm on a new medicine. I'd never been on a medicine other than a prenatal in my entire life. So I'm adjusting to that, and then all the side effects that came with that. So I think that all goes into just kind of, it was almost like someone sent me into orbit, and then I was just trying to find gravity again and find anything to just like navigate through this situation with. The only constant I had was doctor's appointments, and those were sporadic and all over the place. I was meeting a neurosurgeon one day, a neurologist another day, a therapist in the middle because that was needed, getting scans done, testing. In the beginning, it was just very chaotic. And so letting go of just my routine before was hard. And then mourning what I thought my life was going to be like. I really have always had like a weekly plan, a 1 year plan, a 5 year plan, a 10 year plan. And it was like the second that he said in the ER, I think you might have a blood clot in the vein in the middle of your head, which we'll go through all of that in a separate video. The first thing I thought of was, I'm not going to be able to have more kids. And that's all I've ever really wanted in life, is to be a mom. And I am so fortunate that I have my daughter and that I had her before this diagnosis. But I was like, I have to let go of this idea that I'm going to be able to have more kids, which is not necessarily true. And I will talk about my fertility in a separate video as well, which is actually what I was going to record today, but that's not what is happening. Let's say you get fired from your job. Let's say your boyfriend or your girlfriend leaves you, your husband divorces you, whatever the case may be. You get thrown a curveball from life that you didn't see coming. It's okay to grieve. You lost a friend, like whether it was just a friend breakup or something even worse happened. Like, it's okay to grieve. Hold the space for what you need. Feel the feelings. I am very clearly guilty of this because I'm using this as a distraction. I don't want to cry over the fact that my grandfather's really sick. So here I am recording a video because I knew that this would make me feel better in the short term. But it would also keep me kind of preoccupied. And I am very open and willing to feel the feelings, but I don't want to prematurely feel these things, right? Which I don't think is the right way of going about it. I feel like if I start to be sad now, then I'm giving up hope, and I don't want that to be the case. Both with grief when it's someone you love, or if it's yourself when you're dealing with something completely unexpected and out of left field. I think the greatest thing you can take away from it, even in the middle of it when it feels like such a storm and you can't tell which way is up or down, is just remembering all the really nice things, all the great things, all the things to be grateful for. Because even at my absolute lowest, I've always been able to make a list of things that I'm grateful for, whether it's experiences, people, places, things. I found out this morning that he wants me to speak at his funeral. So I sat down this afternoon and wrote my speech. I sat down and wrote my speech because I wanted it to be in the present tense. Obviously, some of the wording is not, but because of the setting in which it will be read. But I wanted it to feel lively, and he's still here, so I really wanted to capture that. It's very lighthearted, and fun is not the right word. It's lighthearted and it's true to his character, and that is exactly what he would want. And this morning I was out shopping and I found a crinkle book that matched the bunny rabbit stuffed animal that he got my daughter when she was born. So I got it, and it's really sweet that they will match. And I know that that's probably a sign that, like, the full circle moment, and I don't know, maybe I'm just grasping at straws, but what I'm trying to say is I hope that that's not a sign that that's the end, but I also will find such closure in, I don't know what that bang was. Um, I'll take such closure in taking that as a sign should something happen, just sooner than later. So just know if you are grieving anything, if you're grieving the job you thought you were going to get, or the friendship breakup that you had, or the actual breakup that you had, or someone that you love passing away, or just coming to terms and wrestling with a diagnosis that you didn't expect, just know that you're not alone. And we all feel these things in one way or another. And I used to shut off the crying. Like, the second I felt the prickle in my nose, I would just shut it off, because I always felt like crying was a sign of weakness, and it's not. Like, how you express how you feel, like, it's universal. We all cry. Like, it's not something to be embarrassed about, and that's why I don't mind sharing it with you. I felt a lot of anger around my diagnosis probably a month or two after being diagnosed with a brain tumor. I was feeling very angry. I was angry at everyone and everything. Part of the anger was due to a side effect from my anti-seizure medicine, but another big part of the anger was just like, for a while it was like, why me? What the fuck did I do to deserve this? And I was actually having a massage, which there's only this one person who, if I have a massage by them, it's like an out of body experience. Like, I see color and it's just so healing. And in one of those massages, I had just like, what do you call it, a download from the universe. It was just like a voice in my head that wasn't mine, but not like in a mental disorder way, which no shame to anyone who has that, but I just want to differentiate, like, it was just a knowing or a voice that wasn't my own, and it said, this is happening for you, not to you. And that definitely mitigated a lot of the anger I had. But also being postpartum, like, I was mad for my daughter. I was mad for my husband that we're going through this. I was mad that I might not get to see my daughter grow up. I was mad that other moms my age were just getting to do postpartum, and postpartum's hard in itself. And I was jealous. I was jealous that I couldn't do postpartum, solely postpartum. I had to do postpartum and a brain tumor diagnosis. And that pissed me off. I just wanted not that. I definitely didn't want this situation. And like I've said in my other videos, you play with the cards you're dealt, right? And so the anger subsided, but that is also a part of the mourning and grief process. So it is normal if you feel mad about the circumstances you're under, and it's okay. Feel it. Don't shove it down. I mean, don't take it out on other people, but it's okay to feel that emotion. It's okay to feel angry. And I, from the bottom of my heart, am so sorry if you were grieving or mourning anything or anyone in your life right now. So, with that said, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and for you to hold this space and just be kind and know that if you are going through something unimaginable or even something that we all feel, you're not alone. And that's the whole reason I share my life, is because I don't want anyone to feel like they're alone. So, thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I will see you in the next video. And I'm gonna end this video on a little note because it seems very fitting. I'm standing in my kitchen of the house my husband and I bought 2 years ago because of my grandfather. This house belonged to his best friend before that. And he called me 6 times one morning. It was a Saturday morning, and he called me incessantly. So I finally called him back. And he was like, what is going on? Like, you called me 6 times, dude. And he was like, my friend is selling his house, and you gotta go see it. I'm texting you his phone number. You need to call him first thing this morning, and you need to go see it. And I was like, Bunka, like, we're not going to be able to afford that house. Like, it's a beautiful house, but it's got to be completely out of our price range. He was like, he'll take care of you. You got to go see it. And so I was like, okay. And so I called him. I was so nervous to call this. I've never met this man in person. Like, I was so nervous. And I called him. I said, hi, my name is Susan Aubin. Which it was, my married name is Ash, but he would know Aubin. So he said, this is Susan Aubin, and my grandfather gave me your phone number. He said he wants me to come look at your house if that's okay. He was like, oh yeah, I talked to Al this morning. Come on over. Why don't you come over tomorrow morning? And so we came in, and the rest is history, because here I am standing in my kitchen, which I wouldn't be a homeowner if it wasn't for him and his incessant phone calls. So I'm going to leave it on a happy note. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know that this isn't the regular, like, brain tumor update, but I do think that it's important to talk about grief in whatever capacity that you're feeling it. So, with that said, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and for you to hold this space and just be kind and know that if you are going through something unimaginable or even something that we all feel, you're not alone. And that's the whole reason I share my life, is because I don't want anyone to feel like they're alone. So, thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I will see you in the next video.